This task is a 4-minute video that explores the perceived value of a personal textiles item and the self-expression within an image of fashion from the 1950s. This personal item is a handkerchief from my great-grandmother on my mum's side who has passed away. The edge of the handkerchief was crocheted by Granny, something she did quite often. Granny was always knitting and crocheting. When I was a kid, I always remember going to visit Nan and Da, Mum's parents, who Granny lived with, and Granny was always sitting on her lounge knitting away. She'd knit and crochet blankets, face washers, table runners, even socks, jumpers, and beanies for all of us great-grandchildren when we were newborns. I think she felt that this way we'd always have a piece of her, even to pass down to our own children, her great-great-grandchildren. Crocheting and knitting was a hobby of Granny's before my mum was born. I think the older she got and the more grandchildren she had, it made her feel as though she was still contributing to the family through the items she knitted and crocheted. It was also good for her health, encouraging her to practice her fine motor skills and cognitive processing. Having these vivid memories and knowing that Granny handmade some of this item adds to its value because I will always have this item to remind me of her, and I can share these memories with my own children, passing it down to another generation. This handkerchief is currently in my mother's possession. It was passed on to her by my Nan when Granny passed away, Nan being Granny's daughter and my mum's mum. Mum has the intention of keeping the handkerchiefs until my sisters and I get married, passing them down to us for our traditional something old and something blue. This is important and holds significant value to me as I will carry a memory and a piece of Granny with me on my future wedding day. Mum kept 3 handkerchiefs for her 3 daughters so that we could have one each for our wedding day and pass them down to our children. Mum has 4 siblings, 2 brothers and 1 sister. Mum often had to share and is still compared to her sister, often receiving the short end of the stick. It is important to Mum that each of her children, especially her daughters, feel equally loved. Having my own handkerchief is another important reminder of the love my mother has for me and my sisters, adding to its value. This image pictures 2 African-American women in suits from the 1950s, expressing themselves through clothing in support and protest of some significant trends that occurred throughout this decade. These include gender and racial equality, the civil rights movement, and societal responses to the end of World War II. Racial equality was a strong political point during the 1950s. With the civil rights movement, African Americans used clothing as symbolic protest, expressing equality and messages of respect and dignity. As explained in his book, Whole States, the civil rights movement was a fight for African Americans to have equal rights under the American law. During the events of World War II, women were forced to enter the workforce. However, once the war ended, women were expected to return to their home duties, which they fought against, as working gave them a sense of independence, duty, and professionalism. The suit pictured here is known as the zoot suit. The wide-leg pants, long jacket, and fedora hats expressed gender and racial equality. The outfit expresses a challenge against gender norms, as the zoot suit was predominantly a working-class men's outfit. Most women who wore the zoot suit were hard-working, law-abiding citizens fighting for equal rights for women. According to Stitch & Co., 40% of women had joined the workforce post-World War II and needed workwear that was appropriate and comfortable, making it more laid-back, relaxed, and safe to work in. Further protest for equality is expressed through the race of the women wearing these suits. African Americans took pride in wearing suits and church clothes to elevate their presence during protests. According to Donaldson, sometimes this was the only piece of themselves that they had control over. Finding power in shifting the narrative of the African Americans through fashion, the zoot suit and suits in general were previously associated with respect and well-off white men. As explained by Craner and Belanta in 2022, suits represent power, masculinity, dignity, and wealth. Suits were designed to fit the male figure, with buff shoulders and hide any imperfections. Therefore, these women wearing suits represents their strive and protest for the same power, masculinity, and dignity and wealth. African Americans wore suits during the civil rights movement protests to promote respectable protests, driving power from their neat and respected style. Most women wore dresses and men in suits with ties, and everyone wore hard shoes. This Sunday best style enhanced their expression of equality, dignity, and wealth. As recalled by Davis, this juxtaposes the perception of those challenging the protests, as one, a usually white man or woman, would be seen brutally beating or shouting towards an individual who is elegantly presented, usually an African American woman or man.